Testament Aleph. The Mishnah tells us that if a man marries a woman, he gives the act of kiddushin, he gives her something of value, and he says the marriage should take effect in 30 days. And in the interim, before the 30-day period comes, another person comes, marries her at this moment. So because the second person preempted the effect of the original act, she's married to the second person, not to the first person. That's the Mishnah. Okay? Then we discuss the case. What happens? It's Machlok Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish. He marries her, does the act of kiddushin now to be effective in 30 days. And then she wants to back out. She says, I changed my mind. Before the effect takes place, although she still has the money that was given to her for kiddushin, and she originally agreed to accept it for marriage, to take place at a later date. Now, she wants to retract at this point before it takes place. Can she retract? Can she not retract? Retract. Rabbi Yochanan says she can. Because Osi Dibur and Vatal Dibur. Originally, why was it going to be effective? Because she said, I agree. So now that she says she changes her mind, so as she originally said yes, she's saying no. So it's like I usually answer a question. So what do you say? She's not a married woman yet. Again, why, if the second person comes and marries her, why is the original marriage not effective? Because when it takes effect, it's affecting who? A woman who's married already. She's a married woman. You can't marry a married woman. Okay? So that's the reason why, if the second person preempts the first marriage is not a marriage. Here, nobody preempted anything. It's in flight. The momentum is there. Now, so there was an action done originally, but what gave that action value? She said she agreed. I agreed to be married in 30 days when I take this money. Now she says, I changed my mind. She didn't say that. I don't want to be married. I changed my mind. I don't want to marry a person like yourself. She found out something afterwards. It's not to my liking. Not that it's a mekatos. Mekatos is something else. Okay. According to Rabbi Yochanan, she just says, I'm not interested. No, she has to accept marriage from a third party. The only way it's out, she has to... But it has to take effect first. That's only if he wants to divorce her. If 30 days comes, if she can't retract them, she's married to the first person. So let's say he says, yes, if she marries another person. No, there's no, according to Rish Lakish, there's no way out. There's no way out. First of all, when she marries another party, it's Osi Maisa Umvata Maisa. She did an act to negate the first act, right? By taking kiddushin from a second party before it took place, so one act negates the first act.
But she had no right to do that.
What determines right or wrong? Is it ethical what she did? No. It's unethical, but factually, is it valid? The second marriage is a valid marriage. Wasn't effective yet. Because it's dibur. That's a loss of dibur. According to Rish Lakish, loss of dibur vatal ma'isa. Words cannot negate an action. Actually, she took something of value, so the consent was complemented with an action. It doesn't make a difference. No, because that's not an action. It's not an action because you took it for that. You have to do an action which is considered. What happens if you have an arrow in flight and a person puts up a paper shield? Right? Is it going to help you? The arrow is going to pierce the paper shield. You have to put up a shield that's going to deflect the arrow. The only thing that's going to deflect the marriage from taking effect, you have to accept marriage from another person. That kind of action. It's an action which is the equivalent of the first action. Same thing. Same thing.
He cannot get out either.
Cannot, correct. According to Rish Lakish, she cannot get out. Whether it's her or she, either one. He says, I'm not interested in being, financially, I can't carry another wife. He wants to change his mind. Can't you?
Somebody in the interim, and I've changed my mind about that.
He met the sister. Met the sister. Can't be married to two sisters. I prefer sister B over sister A.
But he hasn't taken an action.
No, it's according to
He
Shlokish.
just changed his
The only way he could do it, he has to marry that person before 30 days. That's the only way he'll stop it from happening. Otherwise, he's locked into that relationship.
So he could marry the second sister?
Before 30 days.
Yes.
Exactly. And the act of marriage will not be effective regarding the original sister that he meant to marry. No. No. There was an action which puts a dynamic in motion. Well, let's read inside, because the words the Rish Lakish goes to qualify what he meant. Okay, we had the argument here.
She has to return the money, though.
Separate, yes. Second. Lo bo'acher, the second wide line. The second wide line. Lo bo'acher v'kicha. A third party did not come and marry before 30 days. V'chozer bo. She wants to retract. Mao. Can she retract? Can she not retract? Rabbi Yochanan chozeres. She can retract. And we rule like Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Osidib v'atal dibur. Initially she said, what gave this action value? Her words, her consent. Now she changes her mind. So that's called osidib v'atal dibur. The statement of non-interest negates the statement of consent. Okay, but accepting the money has no value. We'll see in a moment. That's Rish Lakish. We'll see. Rish Lakish shama eino chozeres. You know, it's interesting. Baruch Ber, when he would say a shir, although he said the shir 100 times, when he said it, it's like he never learned it before. He would start from basics. Ernie, he asked the question today. It's like he never asked the question yesterday or 2 days ago. It's the same question he asked. It's unbelievable. Just like Baruch Ber. He could be Rosh Shivan comments. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan chozeres osidim avatal dibur. Rish Lakish eno chozeres. Rish Lakish says she cannot retract. Why? Los dibur vatal dibur. Words cannot negate words. It doesn't mean that, as the Gemara say, because here, like Ernie pointed out, here it was coupled with an action. It wasn't just words. It was coupled with an action. He gave money, and because what gave value to the money? Her consent. So the question is, it's interesting. There's halacha, let's say a person is mafresh truma, tithe truma. And then afterwards, the person wants to be shoel on the truma. He wants to nullify the effect of the original truma that he tithed. So he goes like, it's like matanetter. Person consecrates something. And then afterwards he changes his mind. He feels if he would have known something, he wouldn't have consecrated this animal. We're not talking about where it's like a mekach tos. Right? He says, if I would have known that I needed this animal, I wouldn't have consecrated it. Right? So if he goes before a panel of Bezdin, and he presents his case, and they say it's nullified, it's nullified. So retroactively, the animal was never consecrated. Retroactively, the truma was never truma. Not truma, neither. Okay? Yeah, because what affects the hegdish? It's the verbal consecration. Right? What affects the truma to be truma? It's the intent. It should be truma. So what about, I want to negate that intent by nullification? You can nullify it. What about I mafresh truma, and I give it to a Kohen? I give it to a Kohen. So when originally I designated as truma, there was a transformation in the quality in the halach status of the grain. Before it was mine, now it became the Kohen's. Now I transferred into his domain. The Kohen takes possession. Could you be matin netter after it's in the possession of the Kohen? So Gemara says, Boliyat Kohen, once it goes into the domain of the Kohen, you can't nullify it any longer. Wait, even though before you gave it to the Kohen, it's Momishal Kohen. It belongs to the Shevet. That you still can know. But once a person takes possession, you can't nullify it any longer. Why? Because monetarily it's someone else's.
What if it's in
Wait.
transit?
Makes no difference. Okay? If a person took possession on his behalf, then monetarily it's the third parties. If not, then it's not the third parties. I just want to get a point across. I'm not coming to teach you the Hilchos Terumah, right? But over there, even though its status it's Momen HaShevet, it belongs, it's the asset of Kohanim, but because a person did not actually take possession, that it becomes his asset, so the status of Momen Kohen is linked to the what? To the verbal designation. So because it's contingent, or was contingent on that, so if you undo the verbal, which is the designation, so the consequence of the designation has no value. But once someone took possession, the kinyan, so it's more than just an outgrowth of the words. It was actually transferred, then you can't undo it any longer. So it's the same thing. Why does that action have the ability to potentially bring about kiddushin? Of course, it was infused with an intent. The intent of the husband and the intent of the potential wife. She consented. But ultimately, so once it takes effect, it's effective. But initially, when you only set the dynamic in motion, why does this dynamic have the ability to eventually affect something? Because it's infused with intent, with the verbal consent. So if I retract the verbal consent, the action becomes an ordinary action. It's no longer, it's negated from the effect that it's meant to have. It would be similar to that.
Witnesses come and testify. And they testify falsely. And the judges act on their false testimony. But before the ultimate verdict of the punishment is executed, they have second thoughts and they retract their testimony. So now words.
But they gave a verdict. They gave a verdict.
They gave the verdict. Now these words, the subsequent
Has something to do.
words,
No.
does that change anything?
No, nothing.
They undo.
No. There's a halacha, kashazam lasach. Because you conspired to do something to your fellow, the person is being punished because he conspired. If you conspire to the point where there was a verdict, then you're culpable. Even though it's not going to happen. Doesn't make a difference.
But the victim hasn't yet been punished.
No, the only time you could punish them is only if the victim hasn't been punished. Kashazom v'lo kasharosa.
The verdict was given, the punishment has not yet
Of course, they will be punished.
And then they...
Of course, the Torah said what you conspire to do to your fellow will happen to you. Because it's
Even if they retract.
because it's conspiracy. It's conspiring. It's not causing the other person to die. It doesn't make a difference. I'm explaining to you because it's because you conspired to take another person's life. That gives you liability. Even though you retracted, but when did you retract? It was too late. But it was too late. It's too late. It doesn't make a difference. Too late. The Torah says if you conspire to a point where the verdict was given, it reached that point, you're fully culpable.
But now, what would happen if the verdict was given? Would the victim still be put to death?
Of course not. The testimony is proven to be false.
But it's words. These are all
No. The Torah says if two witnesses come and say the testimony of the first witnesses is untrue because they were with us, you believe the latter group.
I'm not talking about that.
That's the only case. Otherwise, how do you find out it's false?
They themselves come forward.
No, they're not believed. They're not believed. They're not believed for many reasons. They're not believed. First of all, it says Kivin Shigin Shuvin Chozeh Magid. What about before the verdict? Before the verdict, a person says Reuven. Two witnesses says Reuven owes Shimon $100, and they realize it's coming. There's going to be a verdict, and they find out other witnesses are coming, which are going to testify that they're conspiring. Wait, I want to give you the case to bring out this point, and then afterwards, and they realize that, so they want to retract before the verdict. The halacha is once you present testimony in court, testimony cannot be altered. Gzeres HaKosov. Once stand, but that's only regard to testimony. Kivin Shehigud Shuvei Nechozeh Magid. It says in the Asher Yagid, you've spoken. Once you've spoken, a witness cannot, you can't alter your testimony.
Even if, now that I've thought about it more carefully.
No, cannot. No, you can't. You can't.
What do the judges do?
Nothing. They accept the testimony at face value. It's if they ignore these people. They will not accept any clarification or anything. They say, we want to clarify it, and it turns out it's not the same testimony you originally had said. They will not listen to it. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference.
The victim, the accused, they carry out the sentence.
They will carry out the sentence and put the man to death. Exactly.
Even if those witnesses come forward.
Correct.
And say, we either made a
I'll give you an
terrible
I mean, there's a way to protect yourself. First, two witnesses present their testimony. Reuven killed Shimon. Okay? They said it. But you realize before they're going to issue the verdict, they have to interrogate them. If they're not able to make it through the interrogation, it's called Juish Chakira, then the testimony is not, a verdict will not be issued on that testimony. So you know what they do? They mess up on the interrogation. No, let's say they did the interrogation, and then afterwards they have second thoughts before the verdict. It's too late. It's too late. They will put that man to death. They will put that man to death because the Torah says once testimony is offered in court, it cannot be retracted. But that's related to that. There is testimony. Doesn't make a difference. But that's no. Because it's eidos. That's tzaloch and testimony. Once testimony is offered in court, it becomes part of the record. Once it's part of the record, you cannot change the record. That's how it's a law in the court record. Once it's presented on the court record, it cannot be taken out, cannot be retracted. For Reish Lakish, but there it's unique. It's only because it's a pasuk. It's a pasuk regarding. It's something unique to testimony. Right? Kivin she'igid shumei nechos magid. Okay, let's go a little further. Reish Lakish amar eino choseres. Reish Lakish says she cannot retract. Lo osi dibur batel dibur. Words cannot annul other the original words. So over here, Reish Lakish is going to Rabbi Yochanan ask, Eser Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. Bitel achelo toram. Person appoints an agent to tithe on his behalf. Truma. Howard, you with me? Looks like you're... No? Okay, so look at the words. Look at the words. Bitel achelo toram. Person nullified the agent before he did the act of tithing. Took truma. So it seems to be biteleng. Bitel, but if he nullified the agent, he canceled the agent, ain't truma so truma. The act that he does afterwards, it's not valid. I mean, when he appoints the agent to be the agent actually has the capacity to function as the person who appointed him the agent. So, and yet, he's able to nullify him, to cancel him. How could he cancel him once he's already designated as the agent? Words cannot undo other words. Right? The designation should be in place. Because he dibur batel dibur. See, it's similar over here. When you give the money, what gave the money? Caused the money to be considered the act which ultimately will cause an effect. Her consent, right? Same thing. It's the potential. Her consent, accepting the money for marriage, gave the money the ability to ultimately bring about an effect. Reish Lakish says you cannot undo that because the money became an object of kiddushin, which will affect something in the future. You cannot retract it. Say, Rosa, I designate you as an agent to act on my behalf to take truma. It's the same thing. My designation of you, so who have you become? You become me. In what capacity? To take truma. So if I allow things to continue, you will act and take the truma. But yet I'm able to retract that and to cancel that. So just as the word, although there was an effect in terms of giving the person the status of an agent, I'm able to undo it with words. So although I gave the money the classification of an act of kiddushin, which ultimately could affect something, but before it affects, I should be able to retract. Seemingly they're identical.
The agency is always this case. If the one who commissioned the agent changes his mind, but the agent is do it. The agent no longer has the
Okay,
power
so
to act.
that's the question. But why? Seemingly it should be identical to most kiddushin, to the money of kiddushin. Why is the money most kiddushin? Because she consented to take it as an act of marriage, an act of marriage. So what is it? But this act has the potential to bring about marriage.
What I understood the agent says is if he's plugged in the electricity into the agent,
So how you cancel it? With words.
and he just unplugs it on his side, there's no more power left for the agent to act. That's how agents
Yeah, but who says you can unplug it? The principle is, if factually the connection was made between us, with words you can, no, but there's an effect. The concept is, if the words have an effect to change the status of something, words cannot change that effect. Words cannot unplug you, cannot disconnect the two of you.
It's not like the arrow that I can't bring it.
No, let's speak about the kiddushin. Why was the money that she received classified as an act of kiddushin? Why? Because she consented to take it to be married. Wait a second. Let's explain this. Because she agreed to accept the money to be married. So what is the classification of that money? Those are most kiddushin. So what are most kiddushin? They affect marriage. Whenever the two of them decide the marriage should be affected. 30 days. So this money has the potential to bring about marriage at a certain point. When I designate you to be my agent, in what capacity? To take Terumah. So my designation of you as my agent has established you as me in the context of taking Terumah. You haven't taken the Terumah yet. So when will the Terumah be taken? When you act on that agency. Seemingly they're identical. Doesn't make a difference. Why should that make a difference? Why should that make a difference?
Because if the agent doesn't do anything, then nothing.
What happens if she should die? What happens if she should die? Is she going to be married? She's not going to be married either.
It seems to me the comparable case here would be the man commissions an agent to take the Terumah. And the agent says, look, I'm a little concerned that you may change your mind.
No, the agent doesn't have to act. If he doesn't act, of course the Terumah is not a Terumah.
The agent says to the commissioner, I'm a little worried that you might change your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want now is a binding commitment from you that you will not change your mind.
Okay. How do you?
The man gives these words, I will not change my mind. And now the agent goes.
And he changes his
And
mind.
he changes his mind. Can that work?
Yes, it's canceled. It's canceled.
So how do the one words overcome the other words?
So that's Rish Lakish. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, you see, words can.
But according to Rish Lakish,
That's his question. That's his question. That's his question.
he got a verbal commitment from this man that he won't change his mind.
Yeah. Okay. We don't even need the. It's the same thing. Even if you don't have the verbal point. If I designate you as an agent, why are you my agent? Because my words established you in that capacity. Why is this act an act of kiddushin? Because her acceptance of kiddushin designated the money to be an act of kiddushin, the instrument of kiddushin. Seemingly they're identical. And yet, in one case, Rabbi Yochanan, Rish Lakish says you cannot retract. And the case of the Terumah, it's explicit. You're able to cancel the agency.
I'm understanding this is when you're doing principle to principle, it's different than when you're doing theology.
But it's a concept. It's lo osi dibur vatel dibur. What difference does it make?
Because as principle to principle, once I've given the handshake and it's done, it's done. But if you're my agent, you're only functioning as long as the commission.
But you already designated. He is you already.
Before it happened, he changed his mind.
No, but is he the agent at this moment? Is he the agent at this moment?
Only the agent as long as the one who commissioned him
No, but there's an effect. There's an effect. Why? But why is that correct? We're saying that anything that brings about an effect, you cannot undo that effect with words. The agent already has been affected to be the agent. The money has been affected to be the vehicle which will bring about kiddushin. Will be the instrument of kiddushin. It is the instrument. It is already instrument of kiddushin. The effect hasn't yet taken place.
power of being commissioned as an agent can be withdrawn
How do you know? But why should it? If you follow the principle of Rish Lakish, that words which cause an effect cannot be retracted, these words cause an effect that you are my agent. So therefore, you should not be able to cancel that agency. It's quoting a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah we're quoting. To be continued. No.